How are you?
It's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. I'm feeling good. Had a nice walk up the hill. Had a couple of good days. Went to the beach as usual this week. So I'm feeling good. And it's a beautiful day.
Are you trying?
I'm just.
Are you trying to make me jealous by telling me about the beach and the walk up the hill and the sun and all that?
Come
on, Randy.
I'm saying this. I'm saying this to say that a whole lot of our friends come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and don't know where the beach is. so I'm just letting the friends know who are coming that we've got beautiful beaches. Still, we hear a lot of haggling about the beaches, but we still got beautiful beaches. And the countryside, it's nice to walk in the interior. It's a good feeling.
Absolutely, it is so true that we have so much to offer, Randy, but yet so little is being offered, so to speak. You know, and I think that is one of the things that we need to look at as a country to get us back on keel and to get us back to where we ought to be in the grand scheme of things. You know, Randy, it appears as if there's an information overload. Really, there's so much to talk about. You know, there is the issue of Sir Louis Straker and his U.S. citizenship or alleged U.S. citizenship. There's the Mongwing Peters Hope issue in terms of the land sale, and you could connect that to Canawan. You know, there is the PM being accused of rape again, of a sexual assault again. You know, there's the issue of the non-secrecy of this ballot in St. Vincent and the Grenadines during the general election. And there's the Bukama issue. Apparently Bukama is going into liquidation, so to speak. And on the international front, you know, there is this whole issue with the American elections and Donald Trump, and there's an audio-video tape with him and his lewd and lascivious conduct. And interesting to note that on that tape, the voice of Donald Trump is readily recognized by some of the same people who do not recognize the voice of the male on the tape that came out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines during the election period. But all those are other issues. And of course, on the international scene as well, there's the issue of the British pound plunging to a 31-year low yesterday in the aftermath of a definite timetable for Brexit. You know, so those are things that we need to keep our eyes on, and especially in relation to Brexit and, you know, the pound plunging so low and so on. There's still no word from our own local government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as to how they plan to cope in that environment. So, and that is why I said, you know, there seems to be an information overload, but for some reason and for somehow, we have to try to cope with the information and keep up and to ensure that people are always reminded of the issues as they are. I'm really pleased, you know, that this morning, your time, afternoon mine, you're speaking about, well, not just speaking, but you're playing the music pertinent to independence. And I was quite happy to hear the song from Vibrating Skates. And the reason I say that is because on A View from the Outside this week, we are looking at the issue of independence, with the view being that in the month of the 37th independence of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we Vincentians need to embrace the true meaning of the word and really strive in every way to achieve independence. The English Oxford Living Dictionaries define independence as not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence, and capable of thinking or acting for oneself. If we apply that simple meaning of independence, and we look at what happens on a daily basis in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, then it will be much clearer as to why that view is held from the outside. Now let us look at an example in relation to not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence. It is truly disheartening to read about the boast of the leader of the country, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, that he, the emphasis is on he, has nearly 6,000 people on public assistance. That is nearly 6% of the population of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on public assistance. And he boasts further of the amount of money that he spends for that purpose, somewhere in the region of $18 million. Now, the reason why this is disheartening is because when this is viewed in context, you have to wonder whether it is a deliberate ploy to make people dependent rather than independent, especially when the same man goes into Parliament or into the Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and denigrate his own people who are poor and indigent. All you hear about is that St. Vincent and the Grenadines just obtained another grant or a loan. You hear nothing about income-generating projects for the country. In between his boasts, there is no mention of tangible programs and policies to develop and benefit the individual and for them to try to achieve independence. All you hear about is the surrendering of the country's patrimony. There's no tangible program for the revival of agriculture in particular. Now, the other OECS countries, St. Lucia in particular, are putting us to shame in that regard. It is no secret that prior to the current regime taking office in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 2001, there was a thriving agricultural industry in the country. It is no secret that farmers were some of the most independent people in the country. Farmers ably provided their families with economic security and independence. They had thriving markets for their products. The farming community did not have to, and they did not rely on public assistance. Now, a cursory glance, or a detailed look for that matter, around the country will provide the evidence that farmers are now some of the poorest in the country, and many have resorted to signing on for public assistance. Surely, in this day and age, St. Vincent and the Grenadines needs people at the helm whose focus is on making the people, making you more independent, not less independent. Vincentians do not have to allow this to happen. You do not have to allow this to happen to you. You are better than just relying on a handout. Force your government to provide the avenues to enable you to develop your own independence. Now, if we look at the other part of the definition of independence in relation to capable of thinking or acting for oneself, in this regard, it seems as if too many of our Vincentian people have lost or have surrendered the will to think or act for themselves. They defend the position simply and purely on the basis of wanting to be in favor with the powers that be. They do so, it seems, with the hope of getting something from the trough, or for getting a taste of the honey, as was once said by some in the echelons of power. Our people, even some of the ones who hold themselves out to be of intellectual heft, appear to have surrendered all in search of the trough or the honey. We hear and see how they vilify others on a daily basis, even if and when there's evidence staring them in the face that what they defend is the indefensible. As a country, we cannot continue down this road if we are truly to achieve economic independence and independence of thought and action. As a nation, we will be celebrating 37 years of political independence on the 27th of October 2016. The people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will do well to learn from those who have gone through struggles and left us some wise words for our own edification. When writing his autobiography on Robben Island, Nelson Mandela, the man who spent 27 years in prison for standing up for what is right and for defending the rights of his own people, wrote, I quote here, I like friends who have independent minds. because they tend to make you see problems from all angles. Unquote. A view from the outside is now saying that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will definitely do well with citizens and friends like these, and urge that wherever you are and whoever you are, stand up and be counted. Martin Luther King Jr., the American civil rights leader, who was shot and killed for standing up and defending the rights of his own people, encouraged his people to stand up and not be afraid of losing their jobs or even death. He said, I quote him, "A man dies when he refuses to stand up for what is right. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for justice. A man dies when he refuses to take a stand for what is true." Unquote. Intentions, a view from the outside says to you, let us heed those words and stand up and achieve true independence, because true independence can only exist in doing what is right. Until next week, Randy, this is Brereton Horne with a view from the outside, and urging our listeners to send feedback as usual to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. That's aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. Randy, you have a very pleasant day, a very good weekend, and a productive week ahead. See you next week.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brereton. You and the family have a fantastic weekend.
All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.